Gandhi to suggesting that there is just a ploy to stop the yatra from entering the national capital to now even mocking the Prime Minister. Is the response to the Health Minister's advisory by the Congress party hurting its own image? And is the yatra politics itself hampering India's COVID fight back? That's a big focus tonight. First up, the story.
Not a mask in sight. No social distancing. Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra enters the national capital region despite an advisory from the centre to call it off. As fears of a COVID resurgence return, Rahul Gandhi and his followers are getting set to march the streets of Delhi.
What is the strategy
We are
of
all taking precautions. We don't play politics with public health issues. It's the BJP, it is the Prime Minister and his colleagues who are using the COVID situation in order to defame and derail the Bharat Jodo Yatra.
Earlier this week, Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia had written to Rahul Gandhi to follow COVID-appropriate behaviour or suspend his yatra.
मेरी जिम्मेवारी थी कि मैं राज्य के मुख्यमंत्री को लिखूं और यात्रा जो कर रहे हैं इसे उसके कन्वीनर को भी लिखूं कि उसके ऊपर प्रिकॉशन उसके ऊपर जरा कोविड प्रोटोकॉल का पालन करें। मैं बात में पॉलिटिक्स में नहीं जाना चाहता हूं, लेकिन एज ए हेल्थ मिनिस्टर मेरा दायित्व है कि देश में कोविड ना फैले और उसके लिए मैं जागरूकता से काम करूं।
But Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party are calling it an excuse to shut down the yatra.
यात्रा को बंद कीजिए। अच्छा, बाकी हिंदुस्तान में पब्लिक मीटिंग जितनी करानी करा लो, बीजेपी करा सकती है, मगर जहां भारत जोड़ो यात्रा चल रही है वहां पे कोरोना और कोविड।
The BJP claims Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister Sukhvinder Singh Sukhu tested positive days after taking part in the Bharat Jodo Yatra, where he was walking side by side with Rahul Gandhi, even calling it a super spreader.
भारत जोड़ो यात्रा आप जिंदगी भर करते रहो, हमारा कोई आपत्ति नहीं है भैया, आप घूमते रहो, देश भर में घूमो, गांव-गांव घूमो, जितने इच्छा है आप घूमते रहो, मगर कोविड प्रोटोकॉल फॉलो करो, यही हमारा एडवाइजरी है.
Taking an early lead, the Prime Minister has urged for strict vigil and following COVID-appropriate behaviour in light of the surge in cases in China. But for Rahul Gandhi, is his political agenda bigger than public health?
Let's go across to the guests who are joining us. R.P. Singh from the BJP, APS Kadiyal from the Congress party, Smita Prakash is editor ANI, Karan Verma is an author and political analyst, Rashid Kidwai, senior journalist and tracks the Congress party very closely. Let me go across to Ashpreet first up. Ashpreet, you know, the question that many are asking today is that all the health minister did was advise that there are certain protocols and precautions that should be put in place because there were reports and concerns raised to him that some have tested positive from the yatra. And if that cannot be done, then possibly look at suspension. Why has the Congress party taken this as such a strike against the Bharat Jodo Yatra, that in defending the Yatra, you've ended up making comments that almost makes it sound like you're considering COVID not a threat at all?
See, one thing that has happened here is, which is astonishing also, is that the Bharatiya Janata Party is now saying that there are people coming from, the length and breadth of the country in order to join the Bharat Jodo Yatra. The very BJP that used to say back in the day that, nobody's participating, there are no people at all whatsoever. So first, thanks to the Bharatiya Janata Party for, acknowledging that the Bharat Jodo Yatra has turned out to be an astounding success. Number two, we are more than willing to follow the COVID guidelines, but is the Bharatiya Janata Party willing to do that? Even back in the day, 2020, when COVID had hit us, it was Mr. Gandhi and the Congress party that had time and again said to the BJP that please take it seriously. It's a major issue. There are going to be consequences. Do something about it. And the Bharatiya Janata Party did not do anything. As a result to which, there were dead bodies found in Ganga. And there were people walking, on foot for hundreds and thousands of kilometers, holding their babies, in terrible conditions. And the Bharatiya Janata Party didn't realize the responsibility then, is not realizing the responsibility today, and therefore is writing a letter to only Bharat Jodo Yatra and Mr. Gandhi. Now, here is the question. When you impose certain rules or guidelines, everybody will follow it. You don't have to specify or individualize a personal an individual or an individual party. that is when you start indulging into
Well,
politics.
this letter
If
has not
guidelines
gone
would have
to
been
everybody
implemented,
else.
everybody would
This
have
letter
actually
has
followed it.
gone to the Congress party because the Congress party has this yatra going on right now, which is,
Now,
of course,
now.
traversing through the length and breadth of the country. But it didn't answer my
Karnataka,
question. I'm not saying that the yatra
Rajasthan,
should be
Karnataka,
stopped,
Bharatiya
and I
Janata
don't think
Party
anybody is
holding
saying that the
rallies.
yatra should be stopped because currently there are no such restrictions on gatherings and yatras. The question I asked you was very simple, Arshpreet, was yes, you could have defended the yatra. You could have said we are not willing to postpone it or suspend it because there is no, according to us, a threat like that. But we will follow all precautions. Now, today the Congress party comes out and says, yes, we will follow precautions. Yes, we have issued advisory. But for the last 2 days, just yesterday, Rahul Gandhi called it a bahana. How is COVID a bahana if the health minister of the country is only reminding you of precautions?
Now, number one, it's not just the Congress party's yatra that is going on. In Karnataka, there was a massive rally that was held by the Bharatiya Janata Party's leaders. No word said about it, no letter shot. Number two, in Rajasthan, major rallies, mass gatherings happening by the Bharatiya Janata Party, no word, no letter shot. This goes on to suggest the bias and arbitrariness that the Bharatiya Janata Party has brought into the picture vis-a-vis COVID, due to which it becomes very difficult for the people of India to believe what the BJP is saying. Number two.
Do you believe that
vis-a-vis
COVID is
the
a threat?
threat of
Forget
COVID.
what the government says. The
Coming
Congress
to that,
party
coming to
doesn't
that, coming to
always
that,
listen to
coming
the
to that,
government.
coming to that.
And you
Yeah,
said
coming
that
to that.
nothing
So
has
COVID
happened
is-
in this country.
Yeah,
Today, though, your leaders say that most of the
China.
country is vaccinated
China.
and that's why there is no threat. So both can't be true. Either nothing happened or vaccinations did happen. But my question is, do you believe that there is a threat? Do you believe you can act responsibly? That's where it ends.
Now coming to that, I was coming to that. So one, the Bharatiya Janata Party's government is saying one thing, that due to the surge in China and USA, we should be careful. Now the surge started to, show its colors on the 25th, from the 25th of November in China. There was a surge that had begun. But why did the Bharatiya Janata Party waited for a month?
Okay,
Why this
you've
delay?
only talked about
Why
the
this
BJP.
inaction?
I am asking
Why
you about
no
the Congress
guidelines?
party. No,
The Congress
Arshpreet,
party is saying
I got
there is
it.
a threat.
I got
Now
it. But I am
listen.
asking you a question. Talk about yourself also. You can't just keep saying
saying
the
now,
government
we are
is doing
saying
this or
if
that.
there is a
My
threat,
question to you
if
is,
there is
do
a
you
threat,
believe
we'll follow the
today,
guidelines.
Arshpreet, do you believe today that there is a threat, an impending threat possibly, because the cases are not that high in India, but an emerging threat, an impending threat, and a threat means that it could happen. Do you believe there is a need for being cautious or not?
Now, if there is a threat, yes or no, depending upon what the government says, if they say there is a threat, why is there no curb, no restriction on international flights? People can come from China, people can come from the US, the variant can spread. But nevertheless, the Bharatiya Janata Party hasn't issued any curb or restriction. So where is the threat number two?
Why
Social
do you
distance.
wait
No,
for
Mr.
curbs? The
May I
curbs
have 5
also
seconds?
mean a lot of
5
economic
seconds.
activity has to be
5 seconds.
stopped.
Just
I'm
last
not
5
asking
seconds.
for the
Mr. Modi.
yatra to be stopped. I'm just saying when it comes to masking, when it comes to maybe a little bit of social distancing behavior, when it comes to isolating yourself if a positive test has come to light. For example, the Himachal Pradesh chief minister tested positive. So when it comes to those precautions, those guidelines exist, right, for large gatherings. And do you believe there is a need to be to take precautions or not? Simple question it is.
100%. See, Mr. Modi is wearing a mask in the parliament, but on the very same day in the evening, he's not wearing a mask. He's amongst the public. Now, is it not
you don't follow what
clear
Narendra Modi
that the
does know
Bharatiya
or
Janata
says.
Party is
You are
doing
a party
politics,
who believes
that the
you are the
BJP
ones
is
who've
doing
been warning the entire
politics?
country on COVID. I'm only
you
asking
say
about
in the
you.
morning
What do
that
you
there
think
a
the threat
to
is?
Wear a mask, and in the evening
But
there is no mask.
Arshpreet,
Why is the Prime Minister not wearing a
quoting
mask?
somebody else's
in the evening on the
behavior
very
is not
same
an
day?
excuse for your own
Now,
behavior.
see,
I'm
now,
only
now,
asking
what
you
are-
that the
what are
Congress
going to be
party
the
believes
consequences?
that they are the
Now
ones
the
who've been
BJP
ahead of the
now,
curve.
now,
So do
may
you
I
believe
also
there is a
ask-
reason
may I
to
also
be
ask something to the
precautious or
government?
not? That's
Great.
it.
In a democracy,
Yes or no?
May I am coming to that. In a democracy, please allow the opposition also to ask some questions to the government. All the questions shouldn't just be posed to the opposition. So
But
what
I'm
saying
asking
is,
you
if it
this
is a
question so
threat,
then I
if
can
COVID
get
is a
your
threat,
mind clear. I'll go to the BJP when I go to the BJP.
If COVID is a threat, why
COVID
did
is a
Mr.
threat.
Modi not wear a mask in the evening?
Okay.
On the very
So I think
same
I
day
get the
when in
gist
the
of what
morning
Arshpreet
in the
is saying.
parliament,
If
you
COVID
wore
is a threat,
mask.
then why?
Number two.
then-
Why Karnataka and Rajasthan had rallies by the Bharatiya Janata Party? Number three.
Don't
why is
repeat the
Bharatiya
same
Janata
thing, no,
Party's
Arshpreet.
leaders themselves not following any social guidelines, social distancing guidelines?
But I'm
mask
asking
guidelines?
you
They
that
have
you are
been
the ones
violating
who
it.
claim you
And
have
number
behaved
four,
responsibly
it
throughout
has been
as
going
the
on.
opposition
The
during the
surge in
COVID
China has
pandemic.
been going
What
on
happened
since
to that
5th of
responsibility
November.
now? Know what happened to that 4 citadels now? Because the Congress party cannot at one level claim they are the ones who always know what the threat is and then say that no, there is no threat right now. RP Singh, is there a threat right now or no threat? And if there is a threat, then why not for everybody? Why only for the Bharat Jodo Yatra?
Do you remember, Shivani, the way the Congress spokesperson was trying to pitch that there is no threat and we give it very damn hoot to the complete system and so he is not doing so where shall we do it and all that. Do you remember April 2020? The gentleman named Maulana Saad, he represented the Tabligh ke Jamaat. He also said the same. हमको कोई परवाह नहीं है, हमको ऊपर वाले की मेहर है. We are being blessed by the Lord. So we can't have corona. All that stuff he used to say. And they used to spit on road and then giving a hoot to the complete processes or complete protocol which was laid for corona. That's what's happening today also. There's an advisory given to you simply to wear a mask.
I see that you're wearing a mask today. But RP Singh, is it not true that until 2 days ago, even till the letter to the Rahul Gandhi Yatra was sent, nobody was wearing a mask, even from the BJP?
Shivani, I'm wearing a mask because your cameraman is here and he's sitting 10 feet away from me although. But even then, had I done it on Skype, I would have been like the Congress spokesperson or other spokesperson because then I would have been on my own. But there's a separate issue is that if advisory has been issued, then accept that advisory. You say, हमको advisory नहीं मिली, कोई हमको scientist बताएं, हमको अरे advisory has been issued by the minister and minister goes by the advice of the scientist or the experts.
No, but the question that arises, RP Singh, the question that arises is that you were very quick to issue the letter to Bharat Jodo Yatra, which is fine. I don't think there is a problem in that. But as the Congress party points out, there are other large gatherings that are also going on. You could have issued a letter to them also.
Let me share that with you. Let me share the difference between the two. The letter has been given to Ashok Gehlot ji also that he should do the needful in his state. The meeting with the health ministers are called to do the needful in their respective states. Arvind Kejriwal has taken his own call. The Chief Minister of West Bengal has taken his own call. Chief Minister of Gujarat will take his own call. So let the health ministers of the various states, because they have undergone the complete process of protocol of the corona. They know what's good or what's bad during corona. What preparations have you done? They're all through this now. Government has already told them, be prepared, we should be ready with everything, whether it's oxygen, whether it's hospital beds.
No, but an individual yatra, and that to an opponent political party's yatra, this is the only yatra that has been sent a letter.
Shivani, give me a second. Which is the other yatra which is happening across the country? Which other yatra where are people coming from other states and joining and going back to the respective states? Other yatras are confined to the state and state governments can take a call on that. And then they can keep just something about their yatra also. Nakul Nath, the son of Kamal Nath, said on record, "Isse badi yatra to hamara nahi galti hai, ye kya yatra hai?" I mean, he said on record, he said this is a very small yatra. We had done bigger yatras and bigger procession in our state. There's Nakul Nath, Kamal Nath's son's statement. So we are not getting to that. They can all the best to them for the yatra. They said Delhi yatra aa rahi hai to dar gaye. अरे डर तो आप लोग गए, जगदीश चैटर को लाओ ना, मेरा चैलेंज स्वीकार करो, लाओ जगदीश चैटर को, जूते खाओगे दिल्ली के दस्तदारों से, because you were chest thumping that we'll get Jagdish Chatter in the yatra. Who can stop us from getting Jagdish Chatter in the yatra? सर अरे हाँ बिल्कुल लैंग्वेज चाहिए, अगर जगदीश टाइटलर, मैं भी कह रहा हूँ आप टाइटलर को लेकर आना, आप टाइटलर को लेकर आओ यात्रा में, तो फिर आपको पता लग जाएगा, आपको दिल्ली के सरदार जवाब दे देंगे, आपको दिल्ली के सरदार जवाब दे देंगे, आप टाइटलर को लेकर आना भारत जोड़ो यात्रा में. यू आर रबिंग सॉल्ट ऑन योर वुंड. तुम नकली सरदार हो.
अरे ऐसे नहीं बोलिए, ऐसे नहीं बोलिए आरपी सिंह, लेट्स नॉट गेट इनटू दैट. ऐसे मत बोलिए, कोई पर्सनल अटैक मत कीजिए. आपने जगदीश टाइटलर के बारे में जो बोला वो मैं समझ सकती हूँ, उनका एक अपना हिस्ट्री है. एंड जगदीश टाइटलर, जस्ट फॉर द बेनिफिट ऑफ आवर व्यूअर्स, हैज पुट वन सेकंड Ashpreet, I'll give you time. Ashpreet, you were wanting me to ask questions to others as well. Now please yield so that I can ask questions to others as well. Otherwise I'll have to mute your audio. Don't talk over me. When I come to you, please talk. Ashpreet, not like this. Don't talk over me. Don't talk over me.
I'm
Don't
not
talk
speaking
over me, Ashpreet. When I come to you, you will get an opportunity to respond, but not
I'm
like this.
sorry, but would you not say anything
Can I
to
please
him?
have other guests on
Would you
air
not
as well?
say
The issue
anything
about
to him?
Jagdish Titler is that he has indeed pulled out of the Yatra as it comes to the national capital. We all know why. He always turns out to be an embarrassment for the Congress party, even as there are attempts from time to time to rehabilitate him. Smita Prakash, I come to you exactly with this question. This whole charge that because the Yatra is coming to the national capital, therefore there is greater scrutiny, and therefore the central government or the BJP is very upset, or they feel threatened with this Yatra. Is that a logical, logical explanation by the Congress party?
Shivani, I don't think anything logical is happening these days, frankly. Nobody's quite aware exactly what the global situation is, what the national situation is, what the Chinese situation is. And in the absence of information, it's free for all in the country. Make your own rules. The states are doing their own thing, plodding along. There's disinformation, rumors. The health minister did speak in parliament and everybody was waiting, but still I think there isn't enough clarity, and when there isn't clarity, then of course there's politics and there's dirty politics. Now, if I was to see this purely from a political point of view and not so much about COVID as such, because I'm not a COVID expert, so I refuse to speak into it. Purely from a political point of view, I can just see that BJP is giving undue importance to the Bharat Jodo Yatra. They're again playing catch up to a narrative that Rahul Gandhi is setting for them, a trap that Rahul Gandhi is setting to them. The Yatra was supposed to actually just rejuvenate the Congress cadres, and even in that he's probably maybe 20% or 40% successful, because one is seeing success in terms of electoral success. So it's not really so much of a success electorally. But as far as cadres is concerned, yes, crowds are coming in. But the BJP reacting is giving more oxygen to this yatra. It is the slugfest will occupy eyeballs, which is Jairam Ramesh's aim after all. And I think the Congress benefits out here. Something that the BJP probably didn't realize when they brought it into attention. It was just an innocuous letter, but that letter was enough for the Congress to latch onto, and the Congress is trying to play a victim card. They don't need to. They are having a free run of the media continuously for the past couple of days as soon as that letter came out.
Yeah, actually one of the Congress spokespersons earlier in one of the shows said that, this is the first time we've been debated so heavily when it comes to the Bharat Jodo Yatra.
That's true, absolutely true, Shivani, on the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. So Karan Verma, who is being hurt with this politics and who is being benefiting from this politics? Because ultimately there is politics going on. I don't want to make it a laughing matter, but unfortunately what has happened in our country is that over the last 3 years, all we've seen is politics over COVID. Initially over the initial lockdown, then over the other waves, then over vaccinations, which vaccine should be in India, not be in India. Ultimately as a citizen, sometimes you get fed up of it. You just want politicians to just behave a little responsibly and not make every matter a matter of politics, especially not health in this case. We've seen what COVID has done.
Shivani, COVID is not over and neither is COVIDiosity. And Congress party seems to have the patent of COVIDiosity right from day one. Whether it was Shashi Tharoor and Manish Tiwari who said that Covaxin will not be effective, it is hardly credible, and we'll not have people lining up for vaccination. Or it was T.S. Singh Deo who said that Covaxin is not something that we'll distribute much in Chhattisgarh, and later he got jabbed and said that we need more of Covaxin in our state and the center is not providing it. So the truth of the matter is Congress has landed with a foot in its mouth every single time. And today again, it was just a simple advisory that Rahul Gandhi should follow because it's a Bharat Jodo Yatra. They don't want it to be a Bharat Infect Karo Yatra. But alas, Rahul Gandhi can't help but twist everything in a political manner, and he doesn't even get political mileage out of it. I make a bigger point. Local circles did a study last year that as far as vaccine hesitancy is concerned, Congress's negative campaign actually worked. Their political campaigns don't work, but their negative campaign actually increased vaccine hesitancy, and that was a report by the local circles. I think this is one matter, Shivani, where politics should be completely divorced from it, because this is a
Sorry,
health
let me
matter.
take that to Rashid
Each one of
Kidwai.
us at some level or
Everybody,
the other,
Rashid Kidwai, over
was
the last
affected
3
by
days
COVID
is-
last year, and we don't want that this time around.
Okay, fair enough. Rashid Kidwai, the one point that everybody is saying again and again over the last 3 days is, what was the need to make it such a big deal? All the Congress party could have said is, thank you for reminding us about the crowds that are coming to our yatra. We know it is very successful. We will be careful, and we have, these precautions that have been put in place. Today, they are saying there are precautions in place. For the last 2 days, when I was asking them, they didn't know what are the precautions because they weren't, frankly. They could have just said, okay, thanks for reminding us, thanks for alerting us. We know what the COVID situation in some of the other countries is. We'll do what needs to be done. Matter ends there. Instead, you see them almost hampering the COVID fight back. The messaging is very important from tall leaders, right? What is the message that is now going out? That give two hoots to what the government is saying right now.
Absolutely. I think, Shivani, it's that entire controversy or debate is absurd because a government, I would talk about government first. Government cannot make a distinction between being, a political party or political representatives and being the government. When the government says something, it carries a lot more, weightage. The entire thing came at, what was the idea behind writing letter? Because the 3 MLAs or MPs from the BJP of Rajasthan, they wrote letter to the Union Health Minister and reacted. So from the beginning, it had a political flavor, as Mr. Prakash was saying. See, COVID is far too, serious matter of public health to be left to the politicians, because we had all kind of throughout this 2.5 years, we have seen, night curfew as if, COVID would not come. We are having marriages, we are having festivals, we are having, flights, we are having crowded trains, everything. And we think a yatra can, be a super spreader. We have party spokespersons who still blame, the Tabligis for the entire fiasco, when we know that it happened at so many quarters, and of course Tabligis were responsible for it, but the blame cannot be put on their footsteps. So what I'm saying is the entire thing reeks of political play by the government and by the opposition, and this is very tragic. It's very unfortunate, uncalled for, and it also shows that in spite of suffering a lot for 2.5 years, we have learned nothing.
Yeah, and we can't come together even on a subject like this. Well, what can I say? We sometimes don't even come together even on a subject which we were debating ad nauseum just before this issue, which was the China conflict. But these are the times that we live in. I do thank all of our guests for joining us and sharing their views. Have a very happy weekend, gentlemen and ladies. Moving on, we're getting some breaking updates that are coming in. The government has a New Year gift for the poor. More than 80 crore people will get free food grains under the NFSA. They will not have to pay a single rupee for this. Central government will spend about 2 lakh crore rupees per year on this scheme. The government has also approved the revision of the pension of armed forces pensioners, family pensioners under the One Rank One pension scheme. More than 25 lakh veterans will benefit from this decision. Let me go across to my colleague Pallavi Ghosh, who's tracking more. So Pallavi, is this the same free food grain scheme that was introduced during the COVID period that is now being extended?
Yes, that's right. It's a National Food Security Act of the government, which essentially means it's going to be free food grown. And the government is calling this a New Year gift really for the people. So 80 lakh of food grains now going to be available and no one is going to have to pay for it. Yes, you're absolutely right, because if you remember during the COVID times, especially during lockdown, the finance ministry would periodically make this kind of an announcement, especially for those who are migrants, those who stayed back also. This was the government's way of trying to reassure them that their concerns would be addressed. So this is being seen as a New Year gift for the common man by the government.
All right, Pallavi, we'll leave it at that. Thanks a lot for joining us. 2 big decisions being taken by the government today. Moving on, we are still discussing COVID. Remember, there is an alarm not just in India, but across the world, because it's not just countries like China, where there is a lot of catastrophic reporting coming out from, but also countries like USA, Japan, South Korea and Brazil that have different levels of vaccinations, different levels of infections, but all are seeing an uptick in the number of cases that are being reported, especially over the last 2 weeks. So what does that mean for India? What do you and I need to do? We've got Dr. Naresh Trehan joining us in just a bit.
प्रधानमंत्री जी की स्पष्ट सोच सदैव रही, वन नेशन वन हेल्थ, और उसी के सहारे पर कोविड का मुकाबला हमारे देश ने जन जन ने मिलकर किया।
Dr. Naresh Trehan, Chairman and MD Medanta, is joining us. Sir, thanks a lot for your time. A lot of people look forward to hearing from you on the COVID situations, and you and I have been speaking since the very first wave hit India. Now, currently, a lot of people believe that what we're witnessing because of the BF.7 variant, especially in countries like China, might not occur in India because this variant has already existed globally for 2 years and in India also for several months. What is your overall outlook for India?
So, on one hand, there is this belief that we have gone through 2 doses of, most people have been vaccinated 2 doses and 25% have taken a booster. But on the other hand, also we have lots and lots of Indians have had the COVID, so that there is a double immunity, quote unquote. We don't know 100%, but that with the natural immunity and the vaccinated immunity added together will probably protect us against BF7 also. Okay, but we don't know.
Okay.
If you remember the last time, we went through this whole thing that we've had BCG, we've had this, Indian immunity is much better because we are exposed to so many bacteria all the time. That nothing worked. We got the COVID wave as bad as anybody else got. We controlled it well, that's not a problem. So, but in any case, we shouldn't sit back and say nothing is going to happen. What my view is very clear. It doesn't hurt to be cautious. It doesn't hurt to be alert. It doesn't hurt to take precautions. So if that's the case, you don't want to take too many chances, and you go with a measured COVID response. And so on one hand, there are 3 parts to it. One is, what is this BF7, what behavior pattern it's showing in the rest of the world? And is it piercing vaccine immunity or not?
Yes.
Because also US got many people vaccinated, infected, and still we must watch what's going on there, because so far there have not been that many deaths or hospitalizations reported from these countries except China. Second is, what can the government do? The government has already triggered several things. One is to say, step up testing. Wherever people have a cold, cough or anything, it should be tested. And the advisory is also from us that you can even do it at home, because the home kits are quite reasonable in price. And if it turns out positive, then you go ahead and get yourself the RT-PCR, and then any positive RT-PCR should be subjected to genome sequencing. Okay.
Right.
Now, having done all these things, and also that we already have, the government already has a real-time surveillance system going on in every block of the country, so that information is flowing real-time to see if there are any pockets being detected anywhere. Okay, so that's what the government can do, and also give an advisory that, look, if you are going to crowded places, wear a mask. And if you're going to be, I'm saying that if you're going to be going to a movie hall, by all means, wear a mask. And if you're going to the plane or a flight, wear a mask, or an airport or crowded place. So that's the precaution you can take yourself. The second thing we want to add is that, supposing this is a triple whammy going on today. One is, it's the flu season. The second is that the pollution is out of control in North India at least. Okay, and the third is the fear of the virus, the COVID. Now we are saying that if you have a cough and a cold, isolate yourself.
Okay.
Put on a mask, isolate yourself for those 4 or 5 days till your cough goes away. In any case, we stop the quarantine in 7 days. So if that is the case, you are going to protect yourself, you're going to protect your community, and the government is taking the measures that incoming traffic, especially from countries which are showing COVID rise, we should monitor those people. Now, random testing, checking for anybody who's got any symptoms of cough or cold or fever, and that screening should go on right now at the airport, and it's already started.
It has started indeed, and now more guidelines are kicking in. But you're saying as an individual, if you have a sore throat or cough, then do the same precautions that you would have done when COVID was at its peak in India. So isolate yourself and possibly test yourself. So the new nasal vaccine by Bharat Biotech has also been introduced finally. Do you think that will strengthen the messaging and the awareness about the vaccination drives and maybe incentivize people to come and take their jabs? Because, you know, nasal vaccine sounds much more comfortable, more convenient than a jab itself.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's very convenient. The efficacy over a large number of people have not been proven yet. These are controlled trials. Now we will know that when it goes out in the market and lots of people use it, we'll get the idea whether it's effective or how effective it is. So I think from that point of view, it's welcome news, but the efficacy is still not 100% established in the sense of over a larger population base.
Yeah, well, that can only come after it has been administered. But speaking of the vaccines, because the focus is now back on them, you know, a lot of people have been dithering. There are several people in India who haven't even taken their second dose. Many are not going for their precautionary dose despite it being available over a long period of time right now. And I see these voices coming out, you know, where they feel, oh, COVID is either not there, I'm anyways getting infected, or I have been infected. What's the point of taking vaccines if I'm not going to be protected against infection anyways? So then there is a concern that several believe that whether these vaccines will be effective against the new variants or not. What will you recommend to people?
So that's a very, very tricky question to answer right now, because the verdict is not clear. The basic thing is, if you are elderly with comorbidities, I think you should not take a chance and you should get the booster.
Okay.
That's what my view is. So that if you're a vulnerable population, you should be protected extra, because we know that the vaccine is not hurting you. And especially if the nasal vaccine is available now, it makes it that much easier.
True.
So I think it's a good idea to take it, but it's a personal choice at this moment.
All right. If you are the elderly and if you are vulnerable, if you have other comorbid diseases, then do take that precautionary dose, regardless of the number of infections you've had. Dr. Naresh Trehan, thanks a lot for joining us. Moving on, remember, this alarm over COVID has been caused by reports of nearly catastrophic infections and deaths in China. Some have predicted millions of deaths. But what is the real situation in China? With data not forthcoming, it's really a lot of guesswork. There are a lot of people who are pushing out information that is coming from China, even if they're not there. We talked to Dr. Li Meng-Yan, virologist, remember, who was one of the first to call COVID a lab-made virus in China. Dr. Lan, thanks a lot for speaking to us. Some people are suggesting that this is a deliberate, strategy of the Chinese government, that they want to get a lot of herd immunity going, which they've been missing. So therefore, they've opened up restrictions and they want as many people as possible to get infected. What are you learning of what's going on in China and what the strategy there is?
Thank you so much. And first, I want to tell people there are a lot of factors unclear in this ongoing outbreak in China. However, because my team is working on collecting data from China, so we can tell you we are for sure that what is happening in China now is man-made disaster, because the Chinese Communist government suppressed the treatment, and also they even don't allow people to get PCR sequencing for the virus examination. And also they still encourage the expansion of this outbreak happened in China. And also we can say that a lot of things very suspicious. For example, we talk about the timing. The outbreak suddenly come out right after the protests against the Xi Jinping and the CCP government. And also at that time, Xi Jinping faced the international pressure too. You know, the House Intelligence Committee of United States already pointed out the evidence between bioweapon and also COVID-19 virus in China, and they claim to hold China accountable. So After that, we see outbreak keep going, and China government still hides information, cover up as what we have seen in Wuhan in early 2020. And we need to tell you that the symptoms happened in China is very severe, different as what you know about the Omicron variant in other countries. And because of the lack of information, we still don't know the passaging yet. Whether they are only the new variant or whether there are something else, we have to keep observation.
Okay, I find one thing very interesting. You're saying that because the Chinese were coming under greater scrutiny about whether COVID was a Wuhan lab-made virus or not, therefore, that there could be a political strategy here to let the Chinese be infected so that China can claim, look, we are as badly affected as anybody else? Because just before this, it was almost there were no cases in China. Historically, there are very few cases in China, what they've reported.
You mean that when China make people sick, that the other people cannot blame China, right?
You know, my question is that, you know, if the blame was falling on China about the fact that this turned out, that let's say possibly this turns out to be a man-made virus, then a lot of people would naturally ask the question, how is China dealing with it? Now, if there is an explosion of this virus in China, China can claim that, see, we are as badly affected as anybody else. So this is not of our creation. Is that what you're suggesting?
If you have seen the propaganda in China from the beginning of outbreak until now, it always shows that either you should believe it comes from nature or you should believe it's a bioweapon from US to intentionally kill Chinese people. And also at this moment, when you see the new propaganda in China, it becomes worse that China government claims some scientists are compromised by United States, like the Batwoman, and then they release the COVID-19 to China to kill Chinese people. So based on Chinese government and the People's Liberation Army's document, when they talk about the theory of the novel bioweapon using coronavirus, they clearly mention that as long as you can deny or you can make up the other kind of theory to fool the people, then people would believe it's come from nature or come from the other country. So that's why you can avoid the accountability. So we have to be very, very suspicious about the current outbreak. And also China is going to reopen right after New Year. What will happen at that time? Will the outbreak become new pandemic? That's something we're really worried about, and we hope other governments prepare well for that.
Final question to you, Dr. Yan. Don't you think that there needs to be first up greater accountability in China to disclose their actual numbers? There are no numbers being disclosed. And you know, those numbers help the rest of the country to also understand, and they should give us more information about the variants prevalent there. We're assuming it's the F.7 variant, but who knows what are more variants have come in by now?
We really think, of course, we should have the transparent data and the surveillance. However, it is impossible now because we know in China, in the past over 20 days of outbreak, there is no statistic, no number. And also, the government don't like hospital to give this kind of sequencing test to identify pathogen. When you talk about BF7, that is because 1 month ago, China CDC claimed that they have BF7 in China, which was circulating before the outbreak. We don't know how many new variants come out in the new outbreak. And also, we may never get the number, like we never know how many people died in COVID in China. Because once they give you more data, you will find more problems. So now they don't give you any data.
Well, this is once again globally very irresponsible behavior to not continue to test, track the numbers and the deaths, because those numbers are important for the global community as well. And yes, you do need those genome sequencing, because then China would be able to share that with the rest of the world if new variants are coming, and everybody is at threat because of this. I do thank Dr. Yan for joining us. We're slipping into a very short break. On the other side, why the Tamil Nadu BJP and the ruling DMK are at each other's throats again. That story coming up.
arrived upon any decision as yet?
Well, as of now, there is no clarity on this particular issuance of whether any sorts of flights will be banned from China or not. In fact, this is the same question which was raised by the opposition parties in the parliament as well yesterday. And they are continuously saying that flights from China should be suspended. But as of now, there is no clarity as to whether the flights will be suspended from China or any other countries. Because we need to understand this is not only China which is reporting this Omicron subvariant BF7's cases. In fact, countries like US and UK are also reporting these cases. And so as of now, there still remains to be seen what steps will the government take regarding flights from countries like China. But as of now, the central government has issued certain guidelines which will be in place from tomorrow 10 a.m. on all the international airports across India.
Absolutely. And when we talk about the BF.7, the new COVID variant, the fact that, it remained in circulation for nearly 2 years, there's been a Scripps research report which says that it's already been in circulation in over 91 countries. Why is it becoming a cause of concern now?
Well, Akanksha, if we go by the researchers, and there have been many researchers on this particular variant as well, why this variant is wreaking havoc right now is because this particular variant of Omicron, the transmissibility of this particular variant is quite vast. And in fact, we've seen many cases earlier also. And right now, if we try and understand this entire situation, earlier there was some sort of larger immunity in the larger public, be it in any other country, because all the nations went through a large wave of COVID, a huge wave of COVID. And so right now the questions are being raised as to why this particular variant is wreaking havoc in China. And in fact, there are many reports which have been published by certain reputed research houses as well, where they have said the situation in China is very grim and the country could report actually up to 10 lakh cases a day and 5,000 deaths. So this is something very important and very serious which the authorities in other nations also need to take care, and as well as in India.
The new variant of the COVID-19, the surge in the COVID-19 cases in China has put the government in India on high alert. The central government has once again issued guidelines for international passengers arriving in India. The Union Health Minister, in the meantime, Mansukh Mandavia, will be holding a meeting with state health ministers on the COVID-19 situation and preparedness at 3 p.m. today in the afternoon. Yesterday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also chaired a high-level review meeting. Prime Minister has asked officials to regularly monitor the availability of essential medicines and to ensure the operational readiness of hospital infrastructure as well. Remember, yesterday was the review meeting that was chaired by the Indian Prime Minister, and some very crucial points emerged. Central guidelines also have been issued, as has been confirmed by the Health Minister. Let's quickly go across to Yash Goyal, who is currently stationed at the IGI airport. Yash, important to talk about what are the measures and the preventions that have been adopted at the airport today.
Well, Akanksha, the central government has actually issued guidelines pertaining to all the international airports in India right now. And in fact, if we go about these guidelines, these entire guidelines are divided into 3 parts. The first part being when a passenger boards the flight, where he needs to show his vaccination certificate from that particular country, and which matches the public issuance of that particular country. If that person is fully vaccinated, then that person will be on board if he is fully vaccinated. And then when the person is on board, the onus will be on the flight operators to make continuous announcements is to wear proper masks, maintain social distancing and other precautions. And in fact, it will be on the airlines also, and the ministry has said that if any person tends to find any symptoms of COVID, he or she has to report to the authorities, and then once the person is deboarded from the flight, that person will go through a thermal scanner. And in fact, if found positive for COVID, then that particular person's samples would be sent for genome sequencing is to ascertain whether which sort of variant that person is affected with, because the particular variant which is wreaking havoc in China right now, BS7, right now India has reported only 4 cases of that particular variant, but the authorities are on alert so that no situation arises in the future. And the Union Health Minister has also categorically said earlier also that right now there is no need to panic. We just need to follow the protocols. And in fact, this is the IGI airport from where we are reporting. I request my video journalist Arjun Singh to show the visuals from this particular area, because right now you can see most of the people are not wearing any sorts of masks in these public spaces. And in fact, this is despite continuous messaging by the central government that you need to wear masks in the public spaces, because what is happening in China, we don't want that situation to happen in India. And in fact, we also heard from the aviation minister also just moments back about how he talked about the preparedness of the health infrastructure in India right now. And yeah.
You know, Yash, that brings us to the question, because as far as the latest COVID surge is concerned, we know that the epicenter also happens to be China at the moment, and considering it's our neighbor, India needs to be on high alert, justifiably. Having said that, there was also talks about suspending flights coming in from China. Has said
Welcome back. The fight between the BJP and the ruling DMK escalated in Tamil Nadu after BJP leader Sasikala Pushpa's house was attacked last evening. This incident occurred when Sasikala was away in Kanyakumari to attend a party event. BJP President K. Annamalai has alleged that the miscreants have acted on the instructions of Tamil Nadu Minister Geeta Jeevan. This attack, in fact, followed a bitter war of words between these 3 leaders. First up, I spoke to Sasikala Pushpa on the charges that have been slapped against her for her comments, even as an FIR has also been registered against those who attacked her house. Sasikala ji, first up, the news we are getting is that there have been cases filed against you. You've been booked, including for your quote-unquote threatening comment against the minister in question, Geeta Jeevan, where you had said that before you leave your house, you will not have legs.
Many children in Kadalur district and Krishnagiri district, nearly 6 to 15 district children fainted and admitted in the hospital. That corruption has been spoken by our state president, Mr. Annamalai ji. In this regard sequence, the next meeting, the minister Geeta Jeevan spoke very badly, very aggressively, very rowdyistically, spoken about my leader, saying that you cannot enter into my territory, Thoothukudi district. Mr. Annamalai, if you enter, we will garrow you. If you climb the stage, I will climb the stage. Like Mamata Banerjee and West Bengal situation, the Tamil Nadu is going on. They are threatening the BJP leaders and cadres to not to speak about the corruption of the DMK party. You know one thing, we are being suppressed of our right to speak. A minister can speak that we will climb the stage and we will beat a state leader who is an ex-IPS officer. The cadre has to listen that.
There's also a case that has been filed against the vandalization of your property and your car. But you are saying you have given a complaint against the minister's comment also, which was threatening in nature, but no action has been taken against that.
Yeah, actually, the minister's atrocious speech, for that we have given reply in a closed area where it's a party meet. It's not in the public, where she's saying that we will go to the stage to Annamalai, you are speaking A, O, and all speaking. We said that anybody if speaks about my leader who is ready to come out of the house, they will not have leg. So if there are if and buts. So since they are ruling party, obviously they will put false cases and all, the court is there. We don't worry about anything.
But ma'am, would you concede that your statement was also threatening in nature? You shouldn't have made that comment?
If anything I speak, whatever I speak, or they have right to vandalize the house by gundas and rowdies and the DMK councillors. But why they are not? The accused is hidden by the minister in her own house. So the BJP is garrowing the minister's house today morning.
You are saying the
Here,
minister
only
is
one
hiding
thing.
the accused
She-
to attack
why
your
she
house?
is- why
Ma'am,
she-
you are making a very big charge. You are saying the minister Geeta is hiding the accused who attacked your house, in her house.
Minister, under the guidance of words of minister, the two councillors came with 30 people, gundas, rowdies, and attacked the house. They want to threaten the party. It's not possible. How an ex-MP and ex-mayor's house can be vandalized by the current government? Any minister, about any minister of Tamil Nadu, you should not speak in any stage. There I will come and beat you. This is the statement by her. What is the action taken by the police? Are they want to try to threaten the BJP president?
And today the BJP is marching as well. What is the message that they are trying to give to the DMK government, ma'am, finally?
The message, why you are not making sections, strong sections on the vandalized people, number one. Number two, why the atrocious speech by the minister has not been taken into cognizance? Why you are not filing FIR on the minister? Only thing, she is minister, you will not file FIR on the minister. We will go to the court, we will not leave this matter.
So tensions certainly running high and the political battle is becoming pretty serious there in Tamil Nadu. SG Surya is the Tamil Nadu BJP secretary. Jagdishwaran is political analyst joining us on the show. Jagdishwaran, let me start with you. You know, Sasikala there asked a pretty relevant question that let's say there was a statement that I made which was made behind closed doors to party cadres. And if you felt that that statement was problematic, you could have acted on it legally. But why go and attack her house? That cannot be the means of retaliation in any democracy.
I completely agree with you. But look at the words that she used. I mean, she was saying the DMK people used very bad words. I mean, she was using disgusting language. She was threatening a minister. She's saying if somebody comes out of the house, they cannot have their legs. The tongue will be cut. What kind of language is this? This is very disgusting. And she's threatening the minister just like that. She's inciting the violence. I would say, I mean, whatever the DMK, I mean, by her own words, with her own words, I'm saying whatever the DMK Gundas did, that has to be treated with the law. They have to be punished. No,
but this shows the mindset. No. Once again, these are not ordinary Gundas who have gone and done this. These are DMK councillors who have been booked.
I agree. Yes.
So, you know, that kind of bravado can only come when your party is in power and when you feel you can get away with this. What kind of political messaging is to begin with?
Today, you also saw BJP cadres going to the minister's house. Do you think BJP is in power here? I mean, it's not just
going to somebody's house for a yatra and a protest is completely different than vandalizing somebody's house, sir. That's not a legal action.
I completely agree. Vandalizing, they have to be treated with law.
No, so whatever she said is not an excuse. That's what I'm saying.
What are the BJP cadres doing? The BJP cadres are also trying to do the same thing. This exchange, I mean, war of words, they just be treated with words.
No,
not
with, Jagdishwaran, war of words is one thing, and war of words can be responded with words or they can be responded with complaints. But attacking someone's house cannot be a justified means of a political battle.
I'm not justifying it.
SG Surya,
but who is inciting it? My question is, who is inciting
No, there is no justification for that incitement. Nobody incited anybody to go and attack somebody's house. I'm sorry, those justifications do not work. If you are so easy to be incited, then you should be in jail only, where everybody else can be safe. You can't run amok in society like that. SG Surya, the other question that goes is, which the DMK is asking is, that, you know, this the Sasikala also made rather ugly comments against a minister. So she must face action. But she is alleging that on her complaint against the minister, there has been no action.
Shivani, my friend Jagdishwaran is ill-informed about the sequence of the events and the facts of the matter. To begin with, the incitement started with the minister herself, Mrs. Geeta Jeevan, initiating violence and threatening Mr. Annamalai in the party stage. So she openly threatened that she will not allow BJP cadres and the leaders to work in the state. She will also climb the stage where Annamalai is there and she will beat up Annamalai. So first the matter starts here. And why did she make that comment? Because Mr. Annamalai broke the scam that this particular minister was indulging in. She was supplying rotten eggs in 15 districts and children were suffering because of that. So many children were hospitalized, schools are penalized and parents are worrying about the children's health with rotten eggs being supplied, and she is in charge of this particular ministry. And Mrs. Geeta Jeevan has the audacity to come on stage and say, if Annamalai keeps exposing scams of my ministry, I will climb up to his stage and beat him up. Do you think this is a parliamentary behavior by the minister in your own standards? And Mrs. Sasikala Pushpa responded in her own way. So, firstly, you should register a case against Mrs.
Let's not
Geeta
brush that
Jeevan
aside. I asked Ms.
because-
Sasikala this question also, that maybe her statement is also problematic. No, you needn't have responded to the minister by also threatening violence.
No, per se, she responded in the own way, which is particular to the local lingo. But our question is, even though if Mrs. Sasikala Pushpa has made a derogatory, my question is, even though Mrs. Sasikala Pushpa has made a derogatory statement,
that's not a local lingo.
No. Even though Mrs.
One by one, please.
Listen to me, please.
One by one.
Even though Mrs. Let me complete, please. Even though she had made derogatory allegation, you do not have powers to take law into your own hands. Why did you go and vandalize her house? Imagine if she had been in the house, what kind of... Can I please complete? But you are not objecting to the language of Geeta Jeevan. That is my problem. You please answer me whether the language of Geeta... You please tell me whether the language of Geeta Jeevan against Annamalai is acceptable or not. Why are you particularly concerned only about the reply that was given by Mrs. Sasikala Pushpa?
It's not acceptable.
Let us assume both the languages unacceptable. Who gave powers to the ruling party councillors to go and vandalize her house? Case has been filed against 3 councillors and 10 DMK functionaries, and there has been only 1 arrest. We allege the same minister Geeta Jeevan is giving safe house for these accused to hide out in their houses, in her house, and that is why we were forced to take a march. We said clearly, if the police is not arresting all the 13 people, we will march towards Mrs. Geeta Jeevan's house, because that is where all 13 are hiding.
Okay.
The police says we are unable to find the accused, and we are accusing that the accused are hiding inside the house of Geeta Jeevan.
Okay, so you are saying that there is obviously political protection.
Geeta Jeevan's house?
There is political protection to this kind of activity because it was against their opponent.
Absolutely no doubt.
Okay, Jagdish Varan, the question that also arises is, what the BJP also alleges is that all of this is happening. This skirmish is happening, and this desperation is being shown because the BJP is rising very fast in Tamil Nadu and the DMK feels threatened because of that. Don't you think that by attacking somebody's house and personal property, the DMK has almost proved them correct?
I mean, that has to be, that can be decided only by the election, I would say. I mean, the last election was the local body election. BJP improved their vote tally, but probably the next parliamentary election would say if the BJP has really increased their vote tally or really has come into 2nd place or 3rd place or whatever it is.
Okay.
But see, what is happening is BJP is trying to establish them as their main opposition party. There is a political space here. ADMK is not performing. ADMK has got their own problems, OPS, EPS problems. So BJP is trying to assert that they are becoming the strong force against DMK.
And the DMK almost proved them right by attacking them.
See, the problem, the councillor who attacked was immediately immediately booked. As Surya was saying, 13 people were hiding. It didn't happen. If the DMK was trying to prove a point, they would not have even filed a case. They filed a case. They booked that 45th ward councillor immediately. Also, they filed case again.
But shouldn't an FIR also been filed if Miss Sasikala has been booked for her comments? Shouldn't an FIR also be filed against the minister? Her comment is equally threatening. Then it would be fair.
No, she was saying that, I mean, Annamalai has to stop this. There was no threatening language. I heard what Geeta Jeevan was speaking at the stage. She told Annamalai has to stop it. He has been using derogatory languages against the CM, against the ministers. He has to stop it. That's what she told.
Okay. SG Surya, can I ask you very quickly? I've got 20 seconds left. What is going to be your next course of action? Are you going to pursue a complaint against the minister?
Certainly, FIR has to be registered against the minister for a derogatory language, and all the 13 who are named in the FIR should be arrested. And let me tell you, FIR has been filed because national media like CNN has taken up the issue, and it has become a national shame for DMK. If you had not taken up, I am sure DMK would not have even registered a FIR against these accused people who went and vandalized the house of Mrs. Sasikala Pushpa.
I'll leave it at that. I do thank both of our guests for joining us. Let's see how this political battle pans out. Time for me to take your leave. News Epicenter is up next.
Good evening, you're watching News Epicenter with me, Ridhima Bhatnagar. As COVID cases spread across the globe, specifically China, Japan and the United States, the question here in India is, will we see a wave as well? Now, the government has pressed into action with guidelines and advisories being issued asking people to maintain basic